Hi guys, welcome back. Hope you're well. This is going to be a bit of a stitch along. I'll probably be with you for about 20 minutes, half an hour maybe. We'll see how we go. I have to go out for an appointment shortly, but I just thought it'd be nice to have a bit of a catch up on the block. So this is Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 8, and this is prompt 1, which was, it came out on Sunday, and the prompt was my favourite doily. I'm doing my project in panels, so with the intention that each panel will be responding to whatever the prompt is for that week. So obviously this one was doilies, and I've got many doilies, and I'm sure that the doilies will appear in plenty of the other panels, but I just wanted to, I find it easier when you can focus on a space, and also this is really nice and easy to transport around. It's quite easy to put in my bag if I'm, you know, going to work or on the train or traveling. It doesn't cause like really any bother. It's like, it's quite a nice thing to have, and it just means that you can work on your project easily on the go. So that's normally kind of how I like to work, so it's what I'm doing with this project anyway. I always find setting an intention when you're starting a project really helps to get a bit of clarity around what you want to do and have a bit of focus and all of that. So this is where we're at. So my background for this is a cotton linen napkin, which has already got this embroidery here, really pretty, and then I've added some elements to that because it's very cream and plain, and I want to kind of work with the colour palette that I've put together. And so having these sort of corals, the green, you know, this antique-y, this particular panel, this antique-y tea-stained doily, and just kind of so all the elements kind of pop and make each other work together kind of thing. So I've added this piece of Liberty Tarnalon, that's a Betsy print, and that's in a kind of, I think they call it pink, but it's like a corally pink really, with like a minty green, which complements nicely with the doily, and it kind of amplifies this a little bit, just different shades of the same colours, different tones. And then I've got cut this from a tablecloth or a doily, I can't remember which, but again these colours kind of emulate, you know, the same thing. And then we've got this gorgeous little owl. Look at the little owl. So I love owls, they're one of my spirit animals. And then I've added this lace here, this antique lace. I think this would be really nice to do some cross stitch onto. So I thought I'd invite you along to join me while I do some stitching, and I can have a little chat with you about what I've been up to. I'd love to hear how you're getting on with your volume 8 prompt 1. So please share below how you're getting on. It's always nice to follow and encourage each other. So I'm just going to crack on and just start doing some stitching on here. So I've got a couple of elements that are still pinned and they need to be fixed to the base. I have used a fleece backing, it's like batting, wadding, however you call it. This is actually not quilting wadding, this is curtain lining. It's what you use to kind of make curtains more thermal. If you're in the southern hemisphere, that's probably not something you even ever do, but obviously I'm in the northern hemisphere, so this is quite an easy thing to get hold of. I just went to an interior design shop near me and I just asked for, and it's actually much more reasonably priced. It's already pre-washed, so it won't shrink, which is great. So it just takes a lot of the extra faffing around out of the equation. So I'm just going to start tacking these, stitching these bits down so that I can get rid of the pins, because I really don't like having pins in things like this when you're carrying it around, because I always get injured, always end up injuring myself. So I thought it'd be easier if I just get all this stuck down, and then I can kind of work on the more of the detail and embellishment. Now you've probably seen here I'm getting a little bit knotty. It's because I like to do this sort of stitching down with a double thread, just so it's extra secure. This isn't going to be removed, this is kind of invisible stitching really, and it just means that this element which I'm adding to the background is fixed properly on the base. So I'm going to do that. I think what I'm going to do as well is start removing these pins as I go, because then it just makes it less prickly. I love these. I don't know if you've used these pins before. They're the Clover applique pins. They're just ideal for when you're doing something like this, because they don't have a long shaft on the pin, so you don't get as injured as you might do otherwise. But yeah, I'd love to hear how you're getting on with yours. There's been loads of people sharing their ideas and their kind of initial gatherings, and it's really nice to see. It's kind of inspiring everybody, isn't it, when we all share? I think that's the thing. We're all full of ideas, and I think if anything, sometimes we can be full of too many ideas, and it makes it really difficult to pinpoint down what you actually want to do. So it's sometimes helpful to see what other people are doing, because I mean, always what other people are sharing is really nice to look at, and it's amazing and beautiful and inspiring. But I think it also helps you to kind of disattain what you don't want. Disattain, what does even disattain mean? So yeah, I'm quite happy with this as a base. I kind of thought I would have got further along with the stitching on this week, because I was off work. I've been off work for a couple of weeks because it's been my birthday, and then so I had like this mostly prepped from last weekend, I think from Monday, since I got the prompt over here in the UK ready to go. And I went to London on Tuesday for a very special trip. I'm going to share a video about that soon. I've got loads of footage that I took while I was there. I've not really shared it on YouTube, but if you follow me on Instagram, so my handle is Thumbelina Threads like it is on YouTube. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably will have seen that I had a piece of work chosen to be part of the Patchwork Collective at Liberty in London, and I wanted to go and see the installation and the exhibition because it finishes today. So I live in Cornwall, which is the southwest part of the UK, and London is about five hours away on the train. So I went on Tuesday around lunchtime. I got there in the early evening, and I went straight to Liberty off the train. I wanted to go and see. Basically, if you've not seen or don't know about it, it's Liberty's 150th anniversary this year, and they asked people to submit a patchwork square using, I think it was 60% Liberty fabrics at least, and kind of representing, and you had to say a few words of what Liberty means to you. And I submitted mine. It was a bit last minute actually that I submitted it, but it was quite a few months ago, and it got selected. I was like so excited. So I wanted to go and see this piece that I'd put on the display. So what they did was they got all of I think they chose 1,500 patchwork squares. We didn't really know what they were going to do with the squares that we submitted, but they put them all together into the form of this like Liberty house. It's really incredible. Like I say, I will share. I'm going to do a separate video, and I will share all about it, lots of pictures and videos, and I'll show you the piece that I submitted as well, but I'll do that separately. But it was just amazing to go and see it. It was quite emotional for me. I just felt like there were so many submissions all over the world. They were sort of saying from I think it was like Macclesfield to Melbourne, from all over the world. Anybody could submit a square, and I just felt so honoured that mine was chosen because they were all so stunning. What they did do actually with the ones that couldn't be on display, they did put them into these books that you could flick through, so kind of like fabric samples, if you go to an interior shop to choose curtain fabric or upholstery fabric, and they were put into books like that we could flick through and look at. The only thing about it was you didn't know who'd made the squares, which I think would have been quite a nice touch if there'd been some kind of catalogue. I mean, I appreciate it's a lot of information to collate, but it would have been really nice to sort of put you know, the piece to a name, because I know quite a few people that entered. I did recognise some of the squares as I was also having a look round, but yeah, it was just so amazing. So I spent a couple of hours in Liberty looking at that, and there was also an exhibition on called I Am, We Are Liberty. It was on the top floor. That was stunning, absolutely stunning. Again, I've got loads of footage of that, so I will share that. Sorry, I keep saying I'm just so excited. But yeah, I can't wait to show you all that because it was so nice. And then I stayed in, don't know if you know London, a neighbourhood there called Islington, which is a really nice part of London that I used to frequent quite a lot. So I don't know if you know, but I used to live in London. My background is that I used to be a knitwear designer. I used to work in the fashion industry, and I lived there for 12 years working as a designer. And I never actually lived in Islington, but I spent a lot of time there with friends, socialising. It's a really nice kind of, it's not really touristy, it's just like a nice neighbourhood. And I went to stay, I found an Airbnb, went to stay there. It was so nice. It was a very quick trip though, I was quite exhausted. And then so I spent 2 hours in Liberty when I got there. And then because it closes at 8 o'clock, and then I went back to the neighbourhood that I was staying with the intention to go for some food, but I was really not that hungry. I think I was just, you know, when you're like high on excitement and adrenaline, and with travelling as well, I think my tummy was a little bit not really in the mood for a lot of food, so I didn't actually eat anything substantial. I did go for a drink, and I went to chill in this really nice bar for a while, which was really good. So yeah, I really enjoyed my time. The next day, just before I left, so in the neighbourhood that I was staying, there's a shop called Loop of London. So if you're a knitter, if you're into yarn, or if you're into stitching, then you know London, you would have heard of Loop. It's a beautiful shop. It's quite small, but it's on 2 floors, but it's just packed full of absolutely beautiful independent yarn. Like the colours are just so beautiful. There's so many different like threads that you can buy for stitching, needles, crochet hooks, like haberdashery. It's just beautiful. It's not like a sewing place really, it's more stitching, but with like these kind of threads. It's not like a haberdashery in terms of you know, kind of general dressmaking. It's more aimed at yarn and thread really, but it's really beautiful. And I love going in there whenever I'm in London. Sometimes I do order things online because obviously I can't get there easily anymore now I live in Cornwall, but I did treat myself. I got some lovely threads. I'll show you those separately. I'll do a separate video on my trip to Loop because that was an experience in itself. It's just gorgeous there. So I will share that with you. Sorry, I'm just trying to, can't see. This is what happens when you get older, you can't see. Just threading needle, and I'm doing it double like I say because it just makes it a bit stronger. What was I going to say? So I went to Loop on the day that I was coming back home. It didn't open till 11:30, and I knew that, but it just feels like it's a little bit late really in the day because they're only open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think it's because they have so many orders online that they have to process, and because it's such a little space, relatively anyway, it's just difficult to, I suppose, process all those orders. They do have quite a few people working there, and they're so helpful. They've all got a little looks like a mobile phone, but they're able to access all of the stock that they've got, how much things are. So if you see something there and it doesn't have a price on it, you can just ask one of them and they'll just have a little look for you and tell you how much it is. They're so helpful, so knowledgeable. I had such a lovely time in there. I was in there for ages. I think I was there for nearly 2 hours as well. They've got loads of pattern books for, I bought one for embroidery. There were 3 that I wanted to buy, but you can't buy everything, can you, that you see when you think, oh, I love it. But I do think when you go somewhere like that where the, you know, the products that they're selling, they're from like artisans, they're quite unique. You can't necessarily buy the things anywhere else, or they're not so easy to get hold of. We certainly can't buy that sort of thing down here in Cornwall. We do have amazing fabric and yarn shops, but it's not really the same sort of thing. It's not unique in the way that Loop is, not that I've found anyway. And I definitely am always on the lookout. So if you're watching this and you know of places in Cornwall that are particularly special in terms of, stitching, haberdashery, fabric, yarn, please let me know, because I'm always interested to go. Saying that, there is a beautiful place in Penzance called Handworked, and I've bought a few things from there before, which I've shared on, probably more on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, do go over. You'll find me at Thumbelina Threads, because I sometimes share different types of things over there, or I share it in a slightly different format. So if you like to use Instagram, then please give me a follow and say hello so that I can check you out as well. But yeah, I spent a great time in there, and then so I went to Loop, did all of that, and then I was like, I need to start making my way towards where I'm getting the train home from Paddington. But I wanted to go back to Liberty one last time to see my patchwork, and also kind of say farewell and let it live on in the archives. So I was really grateful. Some of you might understand, but it felt like a very special thing to be able to do that. And I feel like when we do our stitching, when we sew and we make things with our hands, it comes from a lot of love and emotion, and memories and stories and intentions, and I think it's nice to it's almost like you feel like you're sending it on its way, and you're honouring everything that's gone into that, and the creation that's come through your spirit as you've been stitching. So I wanted to go there one more time. And I'd also at Christmas received some vouchers for Liberty, which I really wanted to go and spend in person, and I hadn't been 100% what I wanted to use the vouchers on. But I decided, when I went there on the first day, I was pretty sure that I was going to buy this book, which has just come out for the anniversary. Really heavy, beautiful, lots of pages full of large print of the prints of the fabrics, and I really wanted to go and see that again, just to make sure that's what I wanted to buy. You can buy the book on Amazon as well. It's available there, and possibly in other bookshops. I haven't actually looked yet, but I thought it would have been nice to bring the book back from my experience of travelling there to see the exhibition. But it was so heavy, and I'd travelled to London really lightly, just with a backpack with everything that I needed, and I didn't really want to be having to cart around a big heavy book all the way back to Cornwall. So I decided I do want to get the book, but I've decided that I'm going to buy it in a different way. It's also a lot cheaper elsewhere. In Liberty, everything is really full price, and unless they have a sale on, and not everything goes in their sale. It's definitely worth the money, it's not that, but I felt maybe that I could use my vouchers more wisely. So I decided to use my vouchers on getting some Liberty Tarnalorn fabric. Again, I was toying with the idea of maybe getting the fabric so that I could get fat quarters for patchwork and quilting, and hand stitching to add to my collection of Liberty. But I decided in the end that I was gonna, because I had about £60, and Liberty Tarnalorn fabric is £29.95 a metre, I think. So obviously it doesn't go, the money doesn't go a long way. So I decided to get 2 meters of a fabric that I really loved. There were quite a few, but there was one in particular that I've not seen before. I've not actually looked into it properly. I'm not sure if it's a new one or I just haven't seen it. So, and I really love the colours of it and the sort of type of pattern. So I've got 2 meters of that one, and they put it in a lovely wrapping and beautiful Liberty bag, and it just, I love that sort of thing because it's just, the whole experience is just such a nice thing. It's so different to buying online when you can go into a shop and, you know, really experience it for its richness and all the, you know, all the, it's just like a whole experience in itself, and I'm really into that kind of thing. I'm quite prepared to spend good money on things when you've got that sort of experience with it as well. To me it's like a lasting memory, and it just makes you value what you've bought more than if you just buy it online. I think there's no sort of, not a lot of personal attachment to buying things online, but I know that I will never forget, you know, that experience of buying that fabric and the lady that served me, and the time and you know, slowness she took packing it, and, you know, being really respectful of the fabric and the history of the building. It was just like, I'm sure if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But I yeah, I had an amazing time on that trip, and it's just made me feel like I just know that I need to go back and do that more, because London was a big part of my life as a, you know, a designer. When I left university, I moved there, and I spent, like I say, 12 years living there and working there in the fashion and design industry, and like, it means a lot to me, and it's somewhere that's a big part of who I am. And I found going back there again just really made me remember that, and it made me feel really inspired and just kind of able to express myself more as my true self. So it's important, it's like self-care really, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, that was me. We are at, I think we're about 20 minutes now, 22 minutes. So I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I say, this is my panel as it is so far. All of this has been tacked down. The only thing I need to do now is the doily and that one, and then I will go over it with some stitching in different colours, but that's something that I can always add to at a different time as well. But I hope you're well. Oh, let me just show you this actually. I'm going to use this. This is a Liberty fabric for the backing of this square. This is the Wiltshire Berry fabric, and it's in a corally colourway. It's beautiful, but I think that would look really nice as the backing for that. And I'm going to do quilt as you go, so I'll bring the edges over and create the binding. But I just want to get all of this stitched down first, and then I can crack on with that. So yay, so exciting. I can't wait to see and hear what you guys have been up to. Please do let me know in the comments if you've got somewhere that you're sharing what you're making. I know there's the Facebook group as well. So yeah, I can't wait to see what you've been up to, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.